Alrighty, yo, what is up guys? It is Bazzaa here today, back with another video. Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. So as I'm sure most of you guys know, yesterday the PS5 worldwide reveal happened and a bunch of games were announced, but more importantly, the visual design of the console was shown, which I'm sure there were a lot of people waiting for that. I was super excited to see what it looked like, and I gotta say, it is starting to really settle in with me. At first, I was like, I don't know about this look, but honestly, now I am starting to really like it. I do, although, hope they add a black version of the console. I'm not the biggest fan of white peripherals or just really anything that's white. But yeah, the design itself, the console, does look very nice in my opinion. Although at first I was like, that disk drive on the side was sort of a bit bulky, but when it's laid down on its side, it does look very nice. But I'm sure that is really not going to be a worry for some of you if you're thinking about getting the digital edition, and that is what we're going to talk about in today's video. If you didn't know, there are two versions of the PS5 that we'll be seeing. One of those being the standard edition, and then we have the PS5 digital edition. And if you're not aware, basically the digital edition will not feature a disk drive, which means you'll have to buy all your games digitally on the PS5 itself. And today we're going to be talking about the cons, or the pros and cons, and the advantages and disadvantages of having the digital version over the standard version, and the advantages and disadvantages of having a standard version over the digital version. So I think we'll first start off with the digital version of the console and talk about that. Okay, so firstly and most obviously, the digital version of the console is going to be cheaper. At this point, we don't know any prices of the consoles, that being the standard version or the digital, but it will be cheaper. We know this because, one, obviously, it is less hardware that has to be included in the console, which will mean it will cost less to produce. And further proofing this, Xbox released their diskless or version of their Xbox without a disk drive, which was cheaper. When it comes to look, this is sort of subjective, but I do believe the digital version of the PS5 does look a little bit better than the standard version, as it's more streamlined and sort of symmetrical. But of course, that is just personal preference at the end of the day. But when it comes to benefits on the console, there isn't really much more to talk about. Obviously, we're going to have that discount at launch, but I'm going to be honest, guys, there are a lot more negatives that outweigh the positives of getting the digital version of the PS5. But first, let's start with the positives. So I guess one of them would be you don't have to go out and buy games. You can simply just go ahead and buy them on the console. But this really isn't much an advantage, as you can do this with the standard version anyway, so I feel like that's not really a valid point. But one other thing I thought of is that if you're someone that travels around a lot, or you're moving from house to house and need to bring that console from place to place, not having a bunch of games to bring around with you is definitely going to be an advantage, as it's just going to make bringing the console around a lot more easier and less of an issue to worry about. So that is obviously one pretty, I would say, good advantage of having the digital version of the console. But once again, if you're playing on that standard version, you can still buy all your games online. But if you are getting the digital version, or sorry, the standard version, and buying all your games digitally, I don't really see why you would want to buy the standard version. You might as well just go with the digital version if you are going to end up buying all your games digitally. But yeah, let's move on to the disadvantages with getting the digital version. Now, please let me know down below if you guys are thinking of any more advantages with the digital version aside of, what I just mentioned and it being cheaper on launch. But I can't really think of anything else. But there are a lot of disadvantages, and the obvious ones that I haven't seen too many people talking about, or at least what I've seen, is that you will not be able to resell games because it will be connected to your account. So for instance, say you get sick of a game after, a year or two, or even less, you just don't like the game, you want to sell it or return it, You can't do that because it is stuck to your account, and you cannot get your money back for that game. And obviously there are some opportunities where you'll be able to refund a game. Now, I don't know how it's going to work, because I know on Steam, if you have a certain amount of hours or playtime on that game, you may basically register and be able to, or be eligible to refund that game. But I don't think it's going to work like that on the PS5, or at least it didn't for PS4 as far as I'm aware. So that's one big disadvantage. You will not be able to resell or, return games if you need to. So say in, I don't know, let's just go far in the future here, 5 years time, when the PS6 might be getting close to release. If you are one of those people that want to sell your PS5, you can only do so for the console itself and not all the games that come with it, which are honestly, it's not really a good thing. If you think about it long term, you're going to be losing out on a lot of money that you could have gotten back from those games you purchased in the beginning. And the only real initial advantage of buying the digital version is that you're paying a little bit less. But I think over the long run, it's going to be a lot worth it to get the standard version and be able to, as I said, sell those games, I think I said digital standard version. You'll be able to sell those games and do all that type of stuff. But I think another one of the big disadvantages with the digital version is you will never really be able to get sales. When you have sales on in-game, like in-store games, when, you get all those games, those crappier games that always go super cheap, like, there really just isn't going to be sales for that, for like the physical copies of games that you see around Christmas time, or just really any, mad sale that happens like in real life inside of stores. There's really none of that. And of course, if you're one person, if you're one of those people that love a physical copy of a game, you're not going to get that with the digital version of the console. I personally do like having my games like stacked on the shelf. I think it looks pretty cool, and it just adds to the whole, environment and feel and just vibes of the room. So if that's something that you're interested in, then I don't really see why you'd want the digital version. Of course, with mentioning all the other things, not really going to be many sales. Obviously, there will be some sales online, but I just don't think it's going to be like what you get in stores around Christmas time, Boxing Day sales, any of that type of stuff. And of course, it is not going to be able to, it will be connected to your account, so you can't really sell games or anything like that. But when it comes to the standard edition, guys, you have the ability to sell games. You can buy games cheaper. Obviously, it's going to cost a little more at the start, but I think over the long run, you're going to be able to make more money back, and it's going to be a lot more worth it, because most of the time, the digital games, you're paying full price no matter how old the game is. GTA 5, still full price on the PlayStation Store, so are most games. And, with having physical copies of games, you're able to lend and borrow games off friends if that's something that you want to do to try out a game, test a game. You won't really be able to do that. I mean, you can't do that with a digital version of a game. And, of course, you're going to have better resale value after years to come if you are one to sell your PS5 standard edition. And this is going to be pretty important for people that want to buy the standard edition of the console that may already own PS5 games. That means they'll be able to use the disc in that console, which they would not be able to do if it was the digital version. So honestly, there's a lot of things that the standard version just does better. And remember, you can still buy digital games on the standard version with that disc tray. So yeah, honestly, please let me know down or in the comments down below. Let me know your thoughts, but I think the standard edition is what I'll be buying when I do eventually get the console. But really, the biggest thing with the digital version, in my opinion, is that it looks better. It's more symmetrical, it's more streamlined. But at the end of the day, is that big enough of a advantage, or just like a better thing that you're really concerned about? I don't know. Let me know in the comments, guys. But yeah, guys, it has been Bazzaa. Hope you guys did enjoy the video. I do plan on doing more PS5 and console related videos in the future about the new news about these consoles. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Peace out and bye bye.